A topic I am extremely passionate about addressing, and a topic that has kind of thrown me into the deep end the past few years and helped me out of a little bit of ignorance from where I was, because I hadn't really experienced it yet. Reactivity. That's something that so many people with dogs battle with. My last dog, Missy, as you may have seen me write about or talk about, she was reactive because of a couple bad experiences. I was able to get her over her reactivity 2 different times. First, when she was really young, that was actually pretty easy to overcome. Wasn't really that big of a deal. Missy was a high threshold dog. Called back easy. Was very appropriate in her responses. You could trust her. She was just that nice, easy dog. She's a lab border collie. I think she was nearly perfect, at least for us. And we want to find a dog that's like Missy. I don't know if we ever will. She was just so wonderful to have around, and she was was so low stress with her, you know. Yeah, we had a couple minor things, but nothing serious. I used to see people with reactive dogs. I thought of Missy, right? And what I'd gone through with her. And I thought, that's not a big deal. I got over it. We worked through it, and we did. Absolutely. But I hadn't dealt with a dog like Nala, at least not one of my own. And I often had the ignorant thought of, that's easy to fix, right? Oh, why are they struggling with this? They should be doing blah, 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 blah. Well, I was right. I believe I was right in part of my thought process. I did have ways and techniques of addressing that reactivity. But the part that I was way off in left field on was that, well, for one, Nala's genetically reactive. She has been since 8 weeks old. She had one trauma incident when she's about 4 months. I'm sure it contributed to it, but it was I believe it was only a small part of the equation. She started off as excitable reactive. Unfortunately, that progressed to fear reactive. And because of Nala, I have learned so much. I've had to. I haven't had a choice. And I've also gained a lot of compassion and a lot of understanding. And I've added to my toolbox for dealing with reactive dogs. By toolbox, I don't mean any harsh aversives. I'm not into aversives. But just methods and ways of addressing various types of reactivity. You can have a dog like Missy where it's not that big of a deal. You work with it, you deal with it, you get them past it. Not all dogs are Missy. Some dogs are like Nala, and some dogs are nothing like either. Some dogs are reactive genetically. Some dogs are reactive by experience, like Missy had been attacked twice. That's what caused hers. I think another part of Missy's was she had been born in the Northwest Territories. They found her without a mother, just her and her litter mates. They were approximately 8 weeks old at the time. I have my theories as to things that may have taken place just based on certain behaviors. I don't know for sure. It's a guess. We put Missy down just about a month and a half ago now. It was heartbreaking to let a dog go that just meant so much to us. She just wasn't doing very well, and it was time. Okay, so back to reactivity. So through a lot of work with Nala, for the most part, she's pretty non-reactive now. On occasion, she'll be excitable reactive. When a dog is walking right at her, I think she's always going to struggle with that, to be perfectly honest, no matter how much work I do, no matter how much time I put in. But if I can just create a little bit of space for even a couple minutes to like kind of get her more focused on me, help her to calm down, kind of build up her confidence, play some games with her, some confidence building exercises as we move past the situation, she's good. And if there's like enough space, I don't even have to do that. I just walk past. Like she's come a long ways. Today I was out walking with Nala and my husband. We were out doing a small hike, one of our local hiking areas. And we came around a bend and this dog beelined it for her off leash. The dog was off leash, Nala was on leash. It was an on leash area. So I did something, and I've done it a few times, which I used to be completely against. And again, I've had to adjust a little bit. Not everyone's going to agree with me on this. That's fine. I say it's situational. And in that situation, it was the only thing I felt like I could do. Narrow trail, nowhere to really give space, dog charging my dog. My dog started going into like she couldn't do it. She couldn't deal with it. You just knew she could not control herself. She was so scared and so overwhelmed. And honestly, when your dog's leashed, any dog, reactive or not, a dog's leashed, another dog is charging them, a strange dog is charging them, don't they have every right to react? That's a scary situation. How would you like to be walking down the street and some random stranger starts charging at you? Like, that's scary. So I don't really blame her for having a freak out then. There was no escape. She's a low threshold dog. It doesn't take a whole lot for her to be like, I'm freaking out. I'm scared. Get me out of here. So what did I do? Like I said, I used to be completely against this, but I will do it now. I picked her up. I got her out of that situation any way I needed to. And there's an argument for it and against it. For it, I got her out of that situation as to the best I could in that moment. If I'd had more space, or I'd had the ability to separate from this dog that was not going to was not going to stop charging her in any way, anything I did, even if I had Nala sitting right beside me, calm, that dog still would have charged her. So no matter which way you paint it, it's a bad situation. Okay? So I picked her up. And I picked her up. I try my best to pick her up without coddling her, because that's the argument against it. But I still believe I'm her safe place. I believe I need to take care of her emotionally and mentally, physically, of course, all of those things. But in those moments, emotional and mental. Like, just get her out of there. So I did. Now, I've done this before, and I've wondered, is this going to backfire on me? Because this never used to be a good idea in my mind. It hasn't yet. I have never seen Nala go backwards in her training because of me doing that. Probably about 3 times now. What I've seen is her calm down, actually. No, your dog might be like 100 pounds. That's just not an option, for sure. Absolutely. My dog's 45 pounds. It's an option, so I do it. So scoop her up, and I get her out of there. And I talk to her in a very similar way as I would if it's safe and there's enough space to pass the other dog. I say, Nala, I know you're scared. It's okay. Like, I still try to give her the same kind of talk, the same kind of words, you know, because I'm working getting her to associate all that. Like, okay, I'm safe. You know, to the best of my ability in those moments, I tell her to be calm Nala, calm Nala. I keep, like, emphasizing that. And you know what? So far, it is the best thing I could do. Now, if I'd had a 100-pound dog that could pull me over, because they could at 100 pounds, probably could at 80 pounds, honestly. Wow, that's a really bad situation. A dog that is not your dog, completely strange dog, tearing up to you. What the heck are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? There's not an easy answer for this. What I try to do as I'm hiking, walking with Nala, I try to think, if a dog were to charge us, if this were to happen, what would I do right now? And I actually ask myself these questions a lot. What would I do right now? What would be the best response if such and such happened? Or if something's already happened, what should have I done? Shoulda, woulda, coulda, right? Next time, what am I going to do? More prepared we are for these situations that we cannot control, easier it is going to be to deal with them when we're thrown into them. So I scooped her up and I just said, don't charge my dog. Don't charge my dog. Because that's what was happening, right? So I just kind of called it like it was. My husband hung back a bit. He was behind us. And he just said to the woman, you know, our dog just gets really overwhelmed very easily. And that's why she reacts. Well, I agree with him completely. And I'm glad he said that. There's a little more to it, you know, than that. But this woman, I guess, was like, yeah, our dog is like that too. Well, why is your dog not on a leash? It's an on-leash area. Okay, this leads me into my next part. Why is your dog not on leash? Well, I talk about my dogs because that way I'm not like calling out clients' dogs. You know, like that's not comfortable. I don't need to call out clients' dogs. I don't need to tell stories about my clients. No one needs that. So I'll use my own. And I try to use my own. And if I do ever use a client's dog, I'm going to make it very anonymous. We just don't need to do that to people. Okay. So I use Missy. Like I say, Missy had some it was only on leash actually. She had reactivity, but so if Missy's off leash in an on leash area where she shouldn't be, I mean, should be leashed, like for sure. I'm not advocating for that by any means. I'm just trying to give an example. If Missy happened to be off leash on a hiking trail, and even though like it's normal for a dog to be a little overwhelmed by a strange dog, you know, like they don't know them, of course, they still kind of got to feel each other out, right? Well, Missy was definitely met other dogs, and I'd say most dogs probably fall into this, better off leash than on leash. Yeah, I'm not an advocate for introducing dogs on leash. I don't actually think it's a good idea, but that's probably a topic for another day and how to address all that. But anyways, if Missy's on leash and she's going to be reactive or she's going to be a little overwhelmed, she'll do better off leash. I know that. I also knew Missy was high threshold. If I said, Missy, come, Missy came. I had no issue there. There was zero issue. Nala, if she gets too overwhelmed, now I think we're probably past this, but me being the way I am, I haven't actually tested it for sure. And I really need to do that. I'm pretty sure Nala's grown out. I don't want to say grown out, because you always need to be addressing things, even if a part of it is puppy. You always need to be addressing things. Never, ever assume your dog's going to grow out of something. But our dogs do mature. You know, they do progress in age. As long as we're on top of it, we're being consistent. You know, Okay. So, Missy off leash. Missy come. Missy came. Nala off leash. Nala meets dog she doesn't know. Nala gets overwhelmed. Nala potentially freezes up. Nala come. Nala. Okay, dog not there. All her doggy friends around. Nala come. Nala comes. No problem. This is what I mean by when people say my dog has a recall problem. Well, I say, is it recall or is it threshold? Because Nala come 100% with no strange dogs, with nothing that's going to overwhelm her or scare her. No crowds. Like, she's a dog that's crazy sensitive. Nothing's going to like get her so worked up that she can't hear me, right? It's taken an enormous amount of work. The amount that she calls back from now, though, like I say, still haven't tested it. But I don't think it's an issue anymore. But it's taken a whole lot of impulse work and getting Nala to be able to control herself in heightened states of emotion. Being able to get response from her despite her environment. And that's what I mean by a dog on leash, dog off leash. So I'd much rather Nala on leash. Especially if it's a leash dog area, you leash your dog. I have access to off leash trails, which is wonderful. And most of the time I let Nala, when we do go there, run her a little hard out. And honestly, we almost never run into anyone, so it's not really a big deal. But there's just this little part of me, because I kind of need a strange dog to test it with, right? Can Nala call back better than last year? Is her ability to respond in a heightened state of emotion improved? Well, I see improvement in other areas in her ability to respond in heightened states. For sure I do. But can she now translate it to the trails? Can she translate it to a dog that she's never met up the trail? And is she okay? Is she responding like, Nala, come? And she's come. Is she still responding like that despite her environment? So again, something I need to test, something I need to find an appropriate dog to just kind of go meet us randomly on the trails and help me to figure out if she's there yet or not. I think she is. But if you're in an on-leash area, please put your dogs on leash. Please put your dogs on leash. Even if you have a Missy. And I get that so many dogs are just like you could have a reactive dog on leash and completely fine off leash. I really get that, and I really appreciate that argument, because I've had that dog. But let's just help other people's stress levels as well, right? Let's try to be considerate and understanding that just because our dog might be one way doesn't mean the other dogs are, right? And if you have a reactive dog, even if they're more reactive on leash and they're better off leash, if they do not have recall like that in an on leash area, you better be putting your dog on leash. Because someone can have a dog on leash, and this is a really important thing to highlight, and their dog's never been reactive. Their dog's good, right? Their dog's solid. And then an off-leash dog runs up to them. Either just spooks them, overly excitable, or the dog could be aggressive, or dog could go after them. I mean, just so many things can happen. And now that dog that had no reactivity because of the lack of control of the other dog is now becoming reactive. is now having issues that that person now has to work through and work with their dog. That's not fair because of the domino effect of the other people not having their dog under control. It's not a good thing. Our dogs affect other dogs, right? As people, we affect other people. You can't think, oh, well, my dog's friendly, so my dog can't cause anything. Well, no, I don't really care how friendly your dog is. If your dog runs up to another dog that's on leash, especially a dog's on leash, that is so scary because that dog has nowhere to go, has no escape. That dog is like trapped. It doesn't matter if your dog is super friendly, is just trying to say hi, wants to play. It doesn't matter. Some people think I'm like way over the top with my leash greetings. I don't really care. I have worked my butt off with my dog, my young dog Nala, so that she greets dogs appropriately if the situation arises, which, like I say, I'm not an advocate for this, but dogs meeting on leash, right? If she's excitable, she does not meet that dog. If she's scared, she does not meet that dog. If she shows any heightened emotion, she does not meet that dog. She has to be calm. She has to be calm. She has to feel safe too. Both dogs need to feel safe. And then I go for a walk with them. We go for a walk. Now, after your dogs have walked, like kind of near each other, beside each other, depends on if you are dealing with reactivity or not. I don't know if you are. If you're not dealing with any reactivity, you got two solid dogs and just go for a walk. And if they're comfortable with each other, let them have a good play. You know? Don't let them play on leash. That's not a good idea. Don't allow your dogs to create bad habits, because that's a horrible habit. Remember having Nala's an 8-week-old puppy. Oh my goodness. Loved her to pieces, but who was that puppy reactive? And I've seen a few reactive puppies. Oh my goodness. It's hard to deal with. You got to keep yourself calm. You got to work at keeping your dog calm, helping your dog learn to control their emotions. At 8 weeks? Oh goodness, that's a long journey. And it has been. It really has been. It's not quick. It's not a quick fix. I think that's probably all for today. If you have any questions, send them through. My website's letsgok9.ca, Facebook page, Let's Go K9, with a K and number 9. Okay, it's great talking to you today, Kate. Bye-bye.